So let's talk about where the computer is going, where it's going for your customer, where it's going for their business. But to know where it's going for them, it's important to understand where the computer has been, how it got here, give you a better understanding of where it's going. So a little history of the computer. In 1822, a man named Charles Babbage creates the first calculating machine. This is a machine that can do calculations, very basic computer. Now, then more than 100 years later, in 1938, the Z computer was created. This is a computer that can do yes/no commands. Sounds very, very basic. It was a quantum leap from just doing basic calculations. 1953 is when IBM creates the first commercial computer. This was called the 701 mainframe, and it was gigantic. So very soon after that, in 1973, the first cell phone was created. So that was only 20 years later. Things are really, really speeding up here. 1975, the first personal computer was created. It's called the Altair. It was not created by Apple. It was a kit that came and you had to assemble it. Pretty advanced at the time. Also in 1975 is when Microsoft is created. There's a software company that helps make the software for these new computers that are coming out. Things are moving very, very quickly here. 1981 is the first laptop. It's called the Osborne 1. Things are getting smaller and smaller here. 1983 is when Apple creates the first graphical user interface for a computer. So this means you can use a mouse, you have all the graphics on your computer. Things are getting really advanced here. 1990, the World Wide Web is created. So now all these computers can start to talk to each other. Things are really picking up here. And then in 2007 is the iPhone. So looking at Moore's law that states that the microchip is getting smaller and smaller. It halves. Every 2 years, that microchip is getting smaller and smaller. It's halving in size. You can see how that's happening, how that's affecting the compute of your customer. And also what's happening with these computers is in the past, these computers were centralized. They were not connected. There was nothing connecting them. So where things are going as we hit the internet is these computers are all starting to connect. They're becoming distributed. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Now, what is a computer? Just some basics on what a computer is here really quick. It is something that has hardware, it has a CPU, it has memory, and it's got storage. So that's the evolution of this computer. Now that's on the back end. Now on the front end, what Apple did really, really well was that they created the front end and they made that really cool and sexy. So you have the graphical user interface, you have the operating system, you have software and applications like Microsoft Word and Excel. These things all go on the front end of the computer. That's what you see on a computer. So as you can see, you have the computer started with gigantic. It was a mainframe. And then it starts to get smaller and it turns into the personal computer. Then it evolves and it turns into a server, a very, very powerful, really powerful computer. And then it moves into a laptop. Then it moves into mobile devices. Then it moves into phones. And soon it's moving into watches and into wearables. So the trends are that things are getting faster. They're getting smaller. They're turning to a distributed network, not centralized like they were up here. And things are moving very quickly to the cloud. You have things like Google Docs and Salesforce.com. The desktop of the future will not have any applications on them. All applications, your Word, your Excel, all the chat tools you use, all the accounting tools you use will be in the cloud.